Hey everyone, Nathan here at the Savvy Nonprofit. We share helpful knowledge and ideas to nonprofit organizations like yours so that you can spend more time working towards your mission and less time reinventing the wheel. Today I'm excited to talk about what you need for a successful capital campaign. I'm also going to be cooking an omelet because I love omelets and I think it'll help today's discussion stick with you. Just like a capital campaign has many parts, so does an omelet. Here today I have a green pepper, an onion, so I've got some tomatoes, cheese, and most importantly, I have the eggs. Let's get started. All right, so a capital campaign is an intense effort by an organization to fundraise over a defined period of time for an immediate and tangible need. This need is significant, not just in the amount, but also in the positive impact that achieving it will have for the organization and its mission. Okay, we got our onions cut and we're ready to move on. The other unique trait of the capital campaign is that organizers of the campaign are trying really hard to get people to give from their wealth. And when we're talking about wealth, what we mean is assets. We're moving beyond selling t-shirts or cookies for a club or a trip. We really want supporters to view their gift as an investment in our cause that's going to last a lifetime, or at least a long time. This is an important note to make, and I want to pause here to talk about the difference between maybe a capital campaign and a crowdfunding type activity. Crowdfunding campaigns take place online, usually on sites like GoFundMe or Facebook. They also have usually thousands of supporters, and those people are typically giving smaller amounts, so think of $25 to $100. Most of those people will only have one interaction with the campaign, and then they'll go about their life. And the campaign is probably pretty short, measured maybe in a few weeks or a few months at most. On the other hand, a capital campaign is longer in duration, at least a year, probably 2 or more. And instead of thousands of supporters, it's really focused on a few hundred supporters. And those supporters, or donors, are going to have multiple interactions with you and your campaign throughout that period of time. Their interactions are going to take place in many different places, in person, at events, meetings, but also online or through newsletters and mailings. And these people are typically giving from their wealth, not from their monthly paycheck or what they've received that month. Now these gifts tend to be larger, not smaller, like we just talked about. So it's not uncommon when you're in an ask to suggest distributing or dividing out that gift over a period of time. So you might say, would you be willing to support us at a level of $25,000 spread over 5 years, which would be a gift of $5,000 a year each year, or even would you be willing to support us at $5,000 over 5 years, which is $1,000 each year. Gifts like these require patience. The supporter has got to come on their own terms and see the gift as an investment into the organization and ultimately your mission. Campaigns can be a critical tool for organizations to achieve success in areas where people have doubts. So now that we know what a capital campaign is, what do we need to have a successful one? Well, there's a lot to that question and to that answer, but there are 2 points that you must have that I want to talk about today. Number 1, what do you need? An egg. Not exactly. That's what I need for my omelet, but it's a good analogy because even if I had all the fixings to make my omelet, if I don't have an egg, then I don't have an omelet. If you want a successful campaign, you have to have an immediate and tangible need, or you're just not going to have a successful campaign. A tangible need is something that a supporter can hold, touch, see, feel. Depending on what it is, they might even be able to walk in it or experience it. Relatively speaking, it's immediate. It needs to happen now. Very important. Good examples of a tangible need are building expansions, for instance, renovating an old church or a building, setting up a large scholarship fund to help students for years to come, or purchasing land. All take time to complete, but if done with thoughtful intent, will last much, much longer. Now, let's look at a practical example of a multi-year campaign to improve a building. Say there's a nonprofit outreach center in a city. It receives some public grants and has patrons who support it infrequently. This year, the nonprofit is serving more families in the community than it has in any years past, and it's nearing its capacity. On top of that, it needs to make costly improvements to its own sprinkler system to bring it in compliance with city codes. This is an immediate and clearly defined need, and we can pull out some key statements to start a discussion with other potential supporters. First of all, our organization is growing. This is positive. And if we expand, we can serve more families and further our mission. That's an opportunity. But if we do nothing, our building will not be safe to keep using. That isn't good. And we know that building expansions, land purchases, and renovations can cost a lot, which is a challenge for many organizations. With a successful capital campaign, the Community Outreach Center will be able to serve more families for years to come while improving safety and offering better services. There's a lot of preparation that goes into validating if the need that you've identified resonates with potential donors, but we'll cover that in another video. Let's assume the need for the Outreach Center has passed the test and focus in on why it's so important to build a campaign around a tangible need. Let's crack this egg open. If I started cold calling people today and I told them I needed to raise, say, $600,000 for this project, the first thing they would want to know is how much I've already raised. If I said nothing, zilch, well, that's not very convincing and they probably won't give. People want to join successes, and at this point, I have no momentum. People are often thinking, how are we going to raise so much money? I've only ever known our organization to just get by or to operate in this certain way. If you look at this bowl right now, you don't see an omelet. But if I cook it on the stove, I know I'll have an omelet, and you probably know that too because you've done it before or you've watched someone else do it. But what if you've never done it before? A lot of people cannot see the big picture of an organization, a product, or a cause unless someone else puts in the work and paints the picture for them. People will doubt, how will their gift ever add up to this lofty goal that you have? Well, you're going to overcome that with leadership gifts. Now, these early supporters are your early investors. They're giving to you on your merit and the merit of your need. And your messaging and discussion with them must convey that their gift is an opportunity to make a lasting impact for the organization. If your need does not fit that bill, or they cannot grasp why it's important now, immediate, or what it will look like when it's complete, tangible, then you have not passed go and you need to try again. If you've done your homework, then it's much more likely that they will see this as an opportunity and a risk worth taking. Their gift is going to inspire others to follow. And most people are followers. Okay, so I have all the ingredients for the omelet ready to go. The first ingredient that I'm going to add to the omelet is the egg. And like we talked about earlier, you can't have an omelet without an egg. And this is important to note because in a capital campaign, you don't have a campaign unless you have a tangible and immediate need. I could have all the other fixings over here, but if I don't have an egg to hold it all together, or a need to hold it all together, then I don't have a campaign. The egg is starting to set up, and we'll just let it get going here. And I'm going to start adding the ingredients. Just like you might in a campaign, you'll get started with your need. There'll be several phases we'll talk about in other videos: a feasibility study, silent campaign, public campaign. But what's important here is that you really start with your need first, and then you'll add the other stuff as you go along. My second key point to having a successful capital campaign is to believe in the cause. A capital campaign is hard. Even if you hire out a professional consultant, it's still going to be challenging. The first person that consultant is going to turn to is you and your team to leverage your existing relationships and make new ones. People who invest in others and their ideas are going to form opinions on whether that person is genuine and if they have what it takes to make it happen. And if you actually believe in your cause and you can articulate it outwardly, your authenticity is going to convince a lot of people and it's going to make you more resilient. I don't claim to be a omelet expert. I don't think that's ready yet. A little bit longer. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of people who are going to come and tell me that I did this incorrectly, but that's okay. They don't have to eat it. Each time someone tells you no, if you actually believe in the cause, you're going to keep working. You're going to call the next lead. You'll wait a few weeks maybe, but you're going to try that person again. Or you're going to rethink your approach. Most supporters in a campaign are going to need several touch points, whether that be email, phone calls, personal visits, before they decide to give to the campaign. And if you're a campaign leader who doesn't believe, then you're probably going to quit early on, especially for a volunteer effort. Okay. Now I'm going to try and flip that over. Oh, not perfect, but I think it gets the job done there. So there we go. Flipped an omelet. Part of believing in the cause is putting in the work to know the details of the cause. How much is the project going to cost? What is the timeline to completion? Who's performing the work? What are the risks? What will it look like when it's completed? How many students can the scholarship support each year? How many staff are we going to be able to hire with this gift? Why is this need so important? There are so many questions that people are going to ask, and it's really going to depend by each person. You're not going to get all the questions from everyone. Some people won't ask that many questions. Others will ask a lot. But it's important that you be able to respond to each person individually based on their personality, their values, and their experiences. Put that back. And, well, there it is. Made our omelet. My point here is that people who don't believe in the cause or aren't being paid by the campaign won't take the time to memorize all the details of the story. The purpose of being able to answer all those questions is to provide clarity for our supporters and persuade them. People tend to fall into two different camps: emotional mindset and logical mindset. If you're talking with a person who makes decisions from a place of logic, they might want to know a lot about details, finances, facts, numbers. But if a person comes from a place of emotion, they're more likely to be interested in the story and the qualitative improvements from the project. For example, how many people is it going to impact? How is it going to help them? How are those people in need? Well, my egg is officially an omelet, and this is a good place to break. Remember, a successful capital campaign starts with early supporters investing in a need that they see as immediate and tangible to them. You'll use their gifts to inspire others. And ultimately, if you don't believe in what you're asking others to do, then you should seriously rethink getting involved in the effort. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like it and subscribe to the channel, The Savvy Nonprofit. I'll be releasing more videos about fundraising and other tips for nonprofits.